Welcome to the World Championship Series Premier League Season 2 Finals! That's right, we're live here from beautiful Toronto, Canada, and what an exciting weekend it's gonna be. I can already hear you guys cheering, going crazy, and it's only just begun. 3 days of StarCraft-packed action as we unfold right now, noon, here in Toronto, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a beautiful way to return to the city for StarCraft II. We have you guys, of course, the excellent crowd. We have a great stage, but what are we all here for? We're here to see the top 16 of WCS Season 2 duke it out to see who rises to #1. The story continues after Season 1 as Bolt took yet another title, but it's not just about him. All 16 players already having battled through the round of 32, and now they all want to say that they are the Season 2 champions. They want that prize pool. They want to lift the trophy, and of course, the 2,000 WCS points. All of these guys looking to advance to the global finals happening at BlizzCon at the end of the year. Who's going to take the 2,000 points? Who's maybe even going to secure a spot going into that top 16 of the global finals? We're about to find out as we have today, tomorrow, and then Sunday with the finals among these top 16 players. Ladies and gentlemen, the players are all waiting to come before you. Your favorite players here to see if they are the best of Season 2. These are your Season 2 finalists! These are the brilliant minds that have risen to the occasion. We have some newcomers, we have the old guard, we even have some comeback kids trying to take that trophy this weekend. I think we've heard enough talking. We've finally seen the amazing players that will be battling again here in the season finals of WCS in Toronto, Canada. So let's kick it off for WCS Season 2 Finals!
Thank you very much, Chobra. And what a top 16 players we have. There's so many talented individuals on that stage, and we're going to jump straight into it. We have Group A moments away from starting, and this is where I want to begin the discussions for today. Group A, the group of death. We saw in the round of 32, as soon as it was drawn, we were in Cologne, Germany. This was the group. We have Bunny, who's representing Team Liquid, comes in at rank 23, just outside the top 16, and represents Europe and every player outside of Korea in hope to play at the global finals at the end of the year. We have Hydra, who is his first player to go up against as the Season 1 finalist, who's back for revenge. And our second match, which will be played on the stream over there with Rotterdam and Nathanius behind all of you, 4GG goes up against Gung Fu Panda. But what a fantastic group here, Pig.
Absolutely, this group is phenomenal. It is the group of death, and we have 3 veteran players. Interesting fact, Bunny, Hydra, 4GG were all eliminated from the last season's finals, one after the other, in the top 8 by the eventual champion, Polt. And they were all a single game away from taking him out. This group is truly stacked.
Yeah, I think the thing that leaps out the most to me is that we're just in the round of 16, but 2 of these players are going to be gone. And I know a lot of people, they keep talking about the top 3, and they're kind of glossing over Gung Fu Panda, but for me, just behind Lilbo is his storyline too, where it's like a lot of the European players will tell you he is one of the absolute best. They'd like to talk about how he's okay with doing the cheese. He had the famous match against Jaedong with a 2-gate proxy that was so exciting. But I actually think he could advance from this group and upset a couple of people. And if he does, that means you're talking about like a Hydra, a Bunny, or a 4GG that's not in the tournament. That's amazing.
A massive win. But one player that we'll focus on now in the first match of the day is going to be Bunny versus Hydra. Team Liquid's Bunny had a couple of words to say to you, fans here in Toronto, before he comes onto stage.
Advancing to the round of 16 means a lot. I'm really happy I get to play in Toronto. Last time I was at Toronto for IEM, the fans were really great, the city was really great, so I'm really looking forward to playing there.
Congratulations, Bunny, on moving on to the round of 16 in first place.
I think I have to say that I be a bit nice to myself and say that I did really well. So far it's been a great year for me, I guess. I have some regrets about WCS Season 1, my series against Poland where I lost 3-2. I could have won those games, and I don't think I'll ever really live that down, but I have to be proud of myself. WCS is obviously the most important tournament for me, the most important tournament for any player. That's the biggest prize pool, the most prestige, the most viewership. And I've always wanted to get to the finals of WCS. That's one of my goals as a pro gamer. It's one of my goals when I started playing full-time and WCS was first announced, and I have yet to do that. So we'll see if I can accomplish it this season.
Ladies and gentlemen, Team Liquid's Bunny, a player that was so close yet so far to achieving his dream that he's been playing for multiple years now, to reach a finals in the World Championship Series, ripped away from a game that he still today thinks he should have won against Polt in the Season 1.
Yeah, I love that about him. I mean, Pig referenced it, and then you hear Bunny talking about it as well. He lost 3-2 to the eventual champion, but I think what's even cooler about that for me was it wasn't too long before that he was talking about TvT, but specifically T versus Korean Terrans, as his absolute worst matchup. It was a huge roadblock for him, and to come that close to beating one of the absolute, inarguably, one of the best Terrans to ever grace StarCraft is an incredible feat. So for a guy like him to turn it around and make one of his weakest matchups, perhaps one of her more strong ones, is a sign of a true champion. So I'm excited for him.
Well, let's hope he can be that champion this weekend, Pig, because he has the weight of the worlds on his shoulder as the player that is the closest to the top 16 from outside of Korea. Everyone is hoping that he can perform this weekend, because if he does, he gets to top 8, gets to top 4, again like he did in Season 1. He could realistically be playing at the Global Finals at BlizzCon.
Absolutely, and getting out of this group is so important. He needs to get at least a top 8 finish to really keep those hopes strong, keep them alive. And this is such a huge roadblock in the form of such a hard group. I think there is a lot of weight on his shoulders, and this happens, right? When you're that one player who is clearly the hope to get to BlizzCon, to get to that global finals, there are so many eyes on you, and it takes a strong character to kind of put that aside and just focus on your gameplay. I think Bunny's got that. I think he's an intense enough player. He's such an intense competitor that he's just focused on his gameplay here, but he is going to need to step it up and really perform his best.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to switch our focus to the other competitor on stage. It's Hydra, who's back for revenge.
The round of 32 was tough. To be honest, I was expect my first advancing, but yeah, when I play with Lilbo, maybe I didn't play well, I guess. Yeah, it's my second time in WCS now, so second time round of 16 in WCS, so yeah, it means a lot for me, and everything's a good experience for me. I'm really excited to go to Toronto because I heard they are very excited in StarCraft II, so I think this tournament is gonna be my biggest tournament in this year so far. Yeah, so I cannot wait to meet guys.
Root Gaming's Hydra, the Season 1 finalist, joins us here in Toronto, Canada. And what a successful 2015 he's had, Pig. He's played in 3 finals within the WCS circuit. He's got second place all 3 times, but he's back now. He's determined more than ever, and he wants that trophy, which is kind of right there next to you.
Yeah, it's just off shot there, but it is a beautiful, beautiful trophy, and I can just imagine the hunger for that he's got, you know. Winning that trophy, taking it out, especially when you get a string of second places, you start to get something building up. The community talks about it. There's a voice in your back of your head saying, can you do it? Can you make it through that finals? Do you have that factor that it takes, or is it going to turn into a curse? Is it the Kong curse that we talk about in StarCraft?
Yeah.
It's an important moment for Hydra, but I think he's confident. He's going to come in here and he's going to show some really, really powerful play. I honestly couldn't predict how this next match is going to turn out at all. I just know that for Hydra, he knows he wants to come out top of this group, get that good seed going into the round of 8.
Yeah, and if you think about it, 3 finals, even though you haven't won them, that must be a great confidence boost. He's in the round of 16. You know, he's still got steps steps away before he trips, according to history here. This must be a good feeling for him to be on stage up here, Jeff.
Oh, absolutely. He's been, guys, he is an old school StarCraft player. He goes back to Brood War. He was one of the late kind of Kespa transfers over into StarCraft II. He has always performed at a mega high level. So it's no mystery to see him here. But as you guys have been talking about, getting that second place, while in and of itself is a good result, like taking second is actually great, guys. In StarCraft, we really glorify winning, but second place is pretty good. But for a guy like Hydra, that does start to mount on him, where he's like, gosh, like, I remember when these people I'm playing against were watching me on the big stage in Korea. So getting that big win is going to be a huge monkey off his back, and I'm excited for this opportunity for him as well.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll come back to you in a couple of moments to discuss the matchup. But it's time to bring the players out on stage. We're looking forward to this one. Chobra, over to you.
Thank you very much. And as you can see, everyone getting excited for the opening match. And what a matchup we have to kick off this weekend. First up, it's going to be the favorite to battle against the Koreans this year in StarCraft. It's going to be playing for Team Liquid, Bunny! His opponent, a player already in the top 10 global WCS rankings, representing Root Gaming, it's going to be Hydra! What a matchup. It's time to finally start the actions. So let's have the players take their positions and get right to it.
A big match here on the stage and a fantastic way to open up the Season 2 finals. Team Liquid's Bunny, the best player outside of Korea, goes up against the Season 1 finalists. They've played a couple of times in the past. Hydra's won the first couple of times they've played, but more recently, just within the last week or so, Pig, it was Bunny who was able to take a best-of-7 away from Hydra. Is he able to do that again today on stage? In a best of 3.
in a best of 3, of course. There's going to be less games to show. It's going to be really interesting to see how they match up. And they're both fantastic players. They're both very macro-oriented, but they're both very capable of throwing in a lot of timings. And it's really just a clash of two titans. And you can say Hydra's favored here, but not by a vast margin. Personally, if I was gambling on this, if I was a betting man, I don't think I'd be very safe choosing either of these players. I think it's going to be a very hotly contested match because you do want to go through to that winner's match in your group. It's very important to win that first best of 3, come through strong. And for either of these players, if they win this first set, it's going to give them a lot of confidence knowing they've taken out one of the other big rivals to get through that group.
Well, Jeff, Hydra over the last couple of months has absolutely destroyed Terran players. It's not even been close the way that he's beat them. Bunny is a different type of player, though. He's not as weak as everyone else. He's one of the stronger players. He doesn't lose very easily in these types of matches. He's very macro-oriented, will play these long games, is very defensive, and finds ways to break down the Zergs the longer the game goes. You think that's what we're going to see from him today?
Yeah, Bunny is a really, he doesn't take a lot of risks, is one of the ways I would kind of describe his overall gameplay. He's very clean, very mechanical, and he's going to look for that kind of traditional Terran versus Zerg style, which is just kind of grind them out with what we call like the parade push. Just a lot of Marine, Marauder, Medevac, maybe Widow Mines, maybe Hellbats, but just push into them. And I noticed that depending on how the map shapes up too, we'll get there in a second, that can be really advantageous for the Terran players. So Bunny is a good matchup for him in play style, I feel, and with a little bit of luck from the maps, I feel like I agree with Pig, but you could almost tip it in favor of Bunny and say on a certain map he could be the favorite.
All right, well, Pig, professional Zerg player yourself, what is the key to victory for really both sides here? From looking at the Zerg perspective and then kind of flipping it around for the Terran, what is the most important part to remember when you're loading into a game in a best-of-3 scenario? Especially when you play, what do you think of?
It's interesting, especially with these two players and their play styles. You really want to look at it as both players respect each other's strong, macro, sort of straight-up, solid mechanical play. Very much, they're both incredibly fast with their hands. They just get more stuff than any other player. So I think both players are going to be looking to mix in a few aggressive builds, trying to catch their opponents off, trying to interrupt their progression. From Bunny, we might see some Hellbat timings. From Hydra, maybe some sneaky Roach timings, some Roach Baneling. And I think the sort of mind games in terms of what maps they choose to do those on is going to be very important to see how the series pans out. If we get one player taking a quick win early on, throwing the other player off, it could really push the set in their favor.
All right, well, is preparation the key here? Is that what we say when you open up a match against a player that you know you're playing against for a long time?
I mean, so much of StarCraft, when you talk about like the top-notch players you're talking about, they're obscene work hours, right? 10 hours a day. People talk about APM, actions per minute, and they say they're so fast. Well, what all that boils down to is getting your body in tune with knowing things as they come, so you don't have to think about it on the fly. Both these guys have put in the time, they put in the work, they are fast, as Pig said. So it's going to come down to execution. And again, big stages are not to be underutilized. Like, that's a huge deal. Thankfully for both these guys, Bunny and Hydra, they've seen a lot of big stages. So really, I mean, we say this almost about every match. We're like, oh, wow, it's going to be a Clash of Titans, and it's going to be so equal. In this case, it's going to be a Clash of Titans, and it's so equal.
Thank you there, Jeff. Let's talk a little bit about Bunny now. So Bunny had to just take a little bit of a break. He's now back in the booth. He's played a lot within the WCS. He was in the very original version way back in 2012, and here he is today in 2015. 27 wins under his belt. He's getting a lot of experience playing on these big stages.
Adorable.
And this year stands out above the rest here in Control P. 9 wins, 3 losses, top 4 in Season 1. And is now ranked 23, just outside that top 16, Jeff.
You know what, Paul? You hit the nail on the head. That's something we've talked about in other broadcasts as well, is like 27-16, that's awesome. And that's kind of, that's his full spectrum. But look at the recent score. This year, 9-3. That's 1 win shy of what Hydra's done, which is an impressive 10-3. We'll get there in a second. But 9-3 is hot. He's playing really well. He's playing his best StarCraft now, and that's why we see him here in the WCS Season 2 Finals, facing off against Hydra.
All right, let's talk about Hydra, because he's the obviously next player here who comes in as the Season 1 finalist, is ready to battle, is ready to get revenge on Pulp, ideally, I would imagine. But he's had, as we've mentioned, a fantastic year in 2015. 3 finals. He is the Season 1 finalist, losing out narrowly to Pulp. 10 wins, 3 losses, comes in at rank 10 in the world. He's currently in that top 16. And if BlizzCon was tomorrow, he'd be playing in that tournament. But it is not set in stone. As much as we talk about Bunny, who needs the win to get into top 16, Hydra does need to keep his performances up, Pig, to make sure he does keep in that top 16.
Absolutely. You can't just rest at anything, on your laurels. You can't rest upon that. You always need to keep getting those points. You need to keep earning them in, because there's just so many WCS points that are going out this year, and we are already seeing players climbing much further than we saw last year in those points. This is only the 2nd season, and if you do get knocked out in the round of 16, that's a lot of points you're missing out on. Hydra, we had a moment there, he kind of had his hands crossed in that booth. He looked very focused, and he looks like he's really just trying to go into this dead serious.
Both players backing up a lot of experience in 2015. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here in Toronto. Hope you're excited for the next 3 days. Here are the map picks for this best of 3. The first map we'll talk about in a second here, Pig, Echo. Second map, Vanny Research Station, chosen by Bunny. And if the last map in this best of 3 is needed, it's going to be Coda. Pig, talk us through Echo and the importance of the first map of the opening game of the weekend.
It's a best of 3 series, so the first map is ever so important. Of course, you only need 2 maps to win. Echo here is quite an interesting map in that the 3rd base is quite close, quite easily defended, and really it's once you start getting out to that 4th base onwards that it starts to get harder and harder to protect your bases, and more harassment comes in. Interestingly, this was Hydra's pick, and it is a relatively even map in the ZVT matchup. As we do see in the stats there, though, Terran is a little bit favored because the Zerg players often struggle to get that creep out beyond their 4th base. And the Terran, that parade push Jeff was talking about before, it's so powerful here.
Yeah, so something very important for everyone watching now is to follow that creep spread, to see how well the creep pushes out, to see how well Bunny's able to deny it. But we are now very, very close to starting this first match. Gentlemen, thank you very much here for your expert talks and expert discussions. We'll have more of you over the weekend in commentary and also expert opinions, because that's what In Control's here for. It's time to go to the commentary team with Todd and Kolaris for the first match of the Season 2 Finals.
What a way to start the round of 16 here with two of the most formidable players in the entire roster playing off against one another here in Group A of the round of 16 as we have Bunny and Hydra about to take to the stage. This, Todd, is going to be a really good start.
Yeah, big match between two of the favorites. The guys that could have been the finals last season are going to take on each other here, and I can't wait to get into the games, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Bunny is doing currently something that very few non-Koreans have ever been able to do. He stands on the edge of greatness, and we will get into game number 1 to start things off. As we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner as our Red Terran. Representing Team Liquid, ladies and gentlemen, it is Bunny. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg. Representing Team Root, it's Hydra.
These two, they are no familiar to having to play each other. I mean, they get to play each other pretty often.
Yes.
Just this month alone, they played each other twice already in different and various show matches. They played a lot of maps against each other, and they played on this map twice, actually. And it went 1-1. And in the one game that Bunny lost, he went for some kind of, 2-base massing and some kind of strong timing in mid-game, which Hydra was able to defend very nicely. It feels like in the matchup and when these two meet in general, I guess the pace gets dictated by whoever either, attacks or defends better early on. Like whoever can do some damage early on or doesn't do damage, well, will either pull far ahead enough to win it or fall too far behind from basically, to be able to recover. So it's really going to come down to those early game timings. Pig mentioned that on the panel very nicely, being able to surprise your opponents and doing something that doesn't expect is really going to increase the chances for you to do damage early on. And then from there, keep on macroing, do things right, and do well.
I was going to say, I mean, of course, they spoke about it on the analysis desk that Hydra and Bunny both respect their opponents' long-term macro games very, very heavily. But between these two, we have seen some aggressive strategies coming out, trying to kind of catch each other off guard as the series are going forwards.
Even what Bunny did in one of the maps that he played against Hydra recently, just massing on 2 bases on this map here, not taking a 3rd base, taking some big risk, but in the end, it didn't work out at all because Hydra is very good in defense, and one of the things that we've seen out of him here on this map is that he likes to play with a lot of Zerglings, Banelings, and Roaches rather than going into Mutas, which he seemed to be doing very well. Bunny, though, he's definitely capable of mixing in, some special builds. Sometimes he can literally go for anything. I think he can even mech if he wants to, but so far, most of the time against Zerg, he's been playing Bio recently.
Yeah, he wants to be playing the faster game, that's for sure. Not really kind of sticking around behind enemy lines for too long, at least. But for now, he is going to create himself. It's a very clever wall-off that he's already started at the top of his ramp, actually. It's almost the potential for a double wall-off, just in case any kind of Zerglings come along.
Actually, in one of the games that he played recently against Hydra, this came into play because Zerglings got up there, and then this wall kind of, prevented them from going to the main. So he defended nicely. And they had this really weird game, actually, in which Hydra was going Zergling, Baning, Roaches, and then added Corruptors, was going into Hive, but played way too aggressive. So he lost his army and then died to the counter-attack from Bunny. So he's going to have to be careful not to be too aggressive, but at the same time, you don't want to be too passive as well here in the matchup because, I mean, Bunny is really good in macro. If you let him take a 3rd very easily, you don't play aggressive at all, he's just going to mass enough units to put you in a lot of trouble.
All right, well, Bunny All's just hunkering down at the front here and making sure that he is totally fine. Hydra, pretty rapid layer here. We've been seeing quite a bit of 2-base muta styles coming out from Hydra, and we've even seen it against Bunny in the past. Is this something he could do here, or do you think it's for something else?
It's possible, but he hasn't added any additional extractors yet, so I guess we'll see. Like I said, on this map, usually he prefers playing with a lot of ground rather than Aspire. But now, looking at this, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Aspire. And yeah, it goes down, as well as the 3 additional extractors. So definitely, maybe he wants to surprise you a little bit, He knows about his image. I mean, if I was able to study these games that they played and come to the deduction that he likes to go for a ground-heavy army, surely he knows that Bunny must have done the same. So maybe he's already trying to, surprise you a little bit in the first map.
And trying to keep the fight on Bunny's side of the map. Of course, they will be able to push the Hellions away later on, and they are very good to deal with those little earlier pushes that we could potentially see from Bunny for harassment, for example.
Bunny actually played a bunch of mech in the past on this map. both against Snoot and against Hydra in various matches, and I think he must have lost every single game that I saw where I tried it, but I mean, they countered it very nicely back then. So maybe Hydra, I was thinking this might happen. One single Hellion sneaks in. Not the fastest reaction here out of Hydra, but
Yeah, chill now.
gonna save that with a nice spore here.
Yeah, he does start that very well. Of course, guys, whoop, kills off one of the Hellions. Second one's going to enter the main base and at least have a look around. Is it going to be able to spot the Spire at the back? Yes, it does. That's good information there from Bunny. Despite really not killing too many drones off, Bunny has got the read he needs to.
Yeah, Hydra is struggling here a little bit in this game already. Some of the movements, you know, from his drones were a little bit weird.
Hellion still trying to get a few kills, but Hydra will be able to save those. Well done by him. 7 mutas are now in production here. Stim is about halfway through, and it is useful to be able to defend against that. The 2 Widow Mines could be instrumental in the slight areas of defense, but for now, the fight will be on Bunny's side of the map.
Yeah, I fully expect turrets here to start momentarily because, I mean, Bunny, he saw the Spire. He knows that the mutas are going to be on their win. Or unless, I guess he wants to defend with just Widow Mines and Marines for now, but as he starts moving out, he's going to need turrets. So now he starts one in the main, as well as double additional barracks. But yeah, I quite like his position here. You know, Walker-wise, 47 SCVs to 52 drones. Even though he didn't really do too much damage with 1 Walker killed, you know, for what? He lost 2 Hellions.
Yeah.
He has the info that he needs in this game to be able to, you know, have a decent start, take a 3rd base quite comfortably. I don't think that these mutas are going to be able to achieve much at all.
Yeah, and all of these mutas come out before he actually starts 1-1, so he's really heavily committed into the gas for these mutas to actually do something, and as I said before, keep the fight on Bunny's side of the map. Don't forget as well also, guys, on Twitter, make sure to hashtag WCS Toronto and hashtag your favorite player, either hashtag Bunny or hashtag Hydra. Vote for who you believe is going to be winning these best of 3s.
The creep spread is pretty good in this game, I have to say. Almost reaching, you know, around the middle of the map here for Hydra. Is still flying around with the mutas, trying to be active out on the map here, while, you know, getting a first good chunk of Zerglings out. Baning speed should start as the Baning nest will finish, and Hydra is just going to be setting up, you know, to make enough units to defend at home. But if he wants to be aggressive, he's going to have the option as well. Even though on this map, I fully expect Bunny, you know, to get a bunker on his 3rd base, but actually that's going to be delayed a lot.
I've got to ask though, Todd, does this Mutalisk opener allow him to have more prevalent creep spread? Because right now it's looking great, and because he's done so well at keeping the fight away from his side of things, this is looking rather well.
Yeah, he knows that with the way Bunny is playing, you know, I guess up until, you know, the 10th, 11th minutes, there's not going to be any move out. Now that there is Medivacs though, Bunny's finally going to start picking up some of that creep here most likely, so for Hydra, he just needs to have enough Banelings to engage into this, whilst Bunny to step on creep. And look at this, he's doing just that. So Hydra, he definitely needs to consider whether or not he wants to engage into that. And look at this, he's going to go for it.
At least going to go in for him here. They're trying to get the wraparound, picks up the majority of those Marines. Does lose a few, but has to dart on out of there. The Mutalisks being around so early on means that he cannot boost away for too long. Has to drop these guys out. Reinforcements are going to come along. There's not that many Banelings at all trailing. Also, they don't have centrifugal hooks, so he's going to try and kite this back. But Hydra putting on quite a bit of pressure there and killing off a lot of these reinforcements. He has to fall back to that bunker.
Yeah, the bunker is not up yet on the 3rd base here, and Hydra, I think he fully realized that there is some potential here to do some damage. With the initial defense into the counter-attack here, Hydra is already doing pretty well here, I think, in this first map.
Doing okay. That missile turret shoos the Mutalisk off for a second there, and actually there's no more Banelings left, and he's sticking around for quite a while against these Marines, but they don't have enough firepower. They don't have medevac support. Hydra is just going to stick around and kill plenty more of the Marines.
Yeah, Bunny in a bit of trouble here. That 3rd orbital command with so much energy, not being able to use the mules, going to be chased down probably here a little bit as well. And look at this. Hydra is riding a ton of Banelings across the map and morphing them. He might even go for a bust even though he doesn't really have to.
But he's going to have a bit of a hard time against this. Once again, the Lings are going to buffer for the medevac. Oh, he's actually targeting down the medevacs with the Mutalisks. A nice move there. He knew that the Lings were going to be able to deal with the Marines on the low ground. Nice to be able to seal off that with the supply depot. But the bunker is going to fall. And here come the Banelings. Hydra bringing absolute pain to game number 1. A lot of SCVs end up falling. And that means Bunny is in a really, really bad spot right now. The natural has been breached. The Mutalisks are holding off the units on the left-hand side, whilst he ravages the mineral line. 26 workers gone, Todd.
Yeah, Bunny not being able to do any damage in the early game here. Hydra, I mean, if you don't do any damage to him, you let him drone up, this is what happens. He just swarms you with Zerglings, with Muta, with Banelings. And in this game, this was no different. And he's going to win it quite comfortably.
He set himself up a great start here. These Zerglings, unfortunately for them, are being filtered through, but it's not going to work. GG, game number 1 goes to Hydra in the first best of 3 of the day. And to be fair, Todd, to Hydra, that looked pretty dominating.
It did. Like I mentioned, you know, if you try to do some damage in the early game and you don't succeed, then it's really, really hard to recover from there.
Yeah.
Bunny, he only made 2 Hellions this game, which is interesting because usually he's a big fan of the 3 Reapers plus a lot of Hellions, like 6 Hellions, you know, with a lot of aggression. But in this game, just 2 Hellions to try and get in there, to kind of get lucky, you know, burn some drones and get the info. He only killed 1 drone and got the info of the Mutas, but he lost 2 Hellions, so he lost map control, and then behind this, the quick strike got out of hand. He stepped on it a little bit too far, reacted very slowly to the banings coming in, lost a big chunk of bio, and behind this, Hydra says, well, I'm gonna have too much, and look at this.
Yeah, the rally across from Hydra, just taking advantage of his opponent when he knew he was weak, pushing him off that 3rd base and being able to bring the fight to him when he had very few Marines left over at this point. His army value was significantly dwindling because he just never gained momentum.
Honestly, like going into this first map, I was already gonna say that, I mean, Hydra, I give him an edge on this. Usually on Echo, he plays really, really well. I think he won the last 2 times, or did well the last 2 times that he played. So he might have lost 1 map on this map, but now on Vanny, I feel like this is definitely the map where Bunny is going to have the best chance to put up a good fight, maybe even win against Hydra.
He certainly has the chops too. We said at the beginning of this best of 3 that Bunny at the moment kind of stands on that cusp of greatness. As long as he's able to propel himself forwards as one of the non-Koreans here in the tournament, everyone is looking to him. All eyes are on Bunny to do well. That being said, his first opponent is probably one of the biggest challenges he's actually going to face in the entire tournament here in the round of 16. So this group, it's fearsome, very fearsome.
I mean, Hydra's performance just in general lately or even last season was just insane. You know, he came into it as one of the guys that was saying that he was going to win the whole thing, barely lost in the grand finals to Bolt. But definitely, you know, one of the, I guess, the top dogs in WCS.
Yeah.
One guy that you can always expect to make it very far and a lot of the time to the finals.
All right, well, into game number 2 now here in this best of 3, as we have spawning down to the south, the greatest non-Korean at the moment here in StarCraft II. As our Red Terran representing Team Liquid, it is Bunny. And up to the north position, our blue Zerg with absolute tenacity there in game number 1, representing Team Roots, it's Hydra.
So fairly standard first map that we saw, and you know, it didn't really go Bunny's way. The one thing different that he did was only getting 2 Hellions, which didn't bring him any success. On this map, there is a chance he might try to go, you know, for a walk up the ramp. In one of the maps that they played recently here on Vanny, he was getting, you know, a bunch of Hellions, and Hydra, even though he was going to go for 2 base Mutas, where he actually transforms the hatchery on his natural into a lair, he rushed a little bit too fast to a 3rd base, and when Hellions got there, he moved the Queens down the ramp. So then the Hellions got up, he lost a lot of drones, like 21, and then from there he was too far behind to really recover, even though he put up a pretty good fight still. So he's going to need to be careful not to let that happen again. I think he was maybe trying to play a little bit to his image and sell a story, you know, basically taking a 3rd base, saying, well, I'm probably going to be safe because he's never going to think I'm going Mutas, but it didn't work. It kind of backfired. Bunny went up the ramp and fried a lot of drones. So this time, I expect Hydra to be a little bit more careful with that. And Bunny, there is a chance he might try something different here. Definitely.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I mean, despite what we saw in that first game, or even completely what we saw in that first game, do Bunny's chances at an even game here against Hydra lie in that early game? Does he have to do damage? Is it paramount to his success?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Unless he wants to try something crazy like mech, and then, you know, try to just surprise his opponent in general, because I don't think Hydra scouts that much with Overlords, to be honest, whether it's bio or mech. Like if he plays against Bunny, it seems almost as if, you know, he always expects that he's going to be bio anyway. So I don't think I've seen too many overseers, you know, really fly inside of Bunny's base to try and check exactly how many barracks he's added on, where they are, the timing on the double eBay or anything like that.
Well, he's opening up with the Reapers that you mentioned before, you know, something that he likes a bit more. Also, it's very, very nice on this map. You have quite the ledge you can get into that main base from. So looking to exploit this edge here is Bunny with those Reapers, as more will be joining up with them slowly, and we have that command center now planted at the back so that he can keep his economy nice and healthy against that Zerg on the other side, of course, which is just rocketing forwards with the economy.
Yeah, definitely one of the best maps by far here for Reapers, and I mean, Bunny knows that. The thing with Bunny is like he really likes that third Reaper, like I said before, where you get the third Reaper, then a bunch of Hellions, and then you can really like take on Queens, slow creep, fight a lot of Lings as well, delay that third base a lot.
Oh, good control at the moment here so far. The Lings did buy time for the Queen to pop out, and with a ranged attack, she should be totally fine. And to be able to fend this off, we actually had the second Reaper join up. And at the moment, a lot of you guys are in favor of Bunny here, despite him actually falling in that first game. But a lot of confidence behind our non-Korean. As believe. You have to believe, apparently. But there's no third Reaper on the way, Todd.
Usually he gets it later, because you need to get the reactor for the factory for it to line up. Third CC is going to start, as always, as the factory finishes. And I really like that Overlord. It's just like parked there, you know, checking what's happening. Can't really know yet whether it's going to be Bio or Mech or something like that, but at least he's doing his job, you know, making sure that the third command center is in there, so he knows that it's pretty much going to be just Hellions, you know, from there. And you see the third Reaper starts now. And this is when things are going to get scary, when there's 3 Reapers across the map. He's already done quite a bit of work actually on those Queens. Oh my god, like one of them has 60 plus hit points.
And the third Reaper is going to couple up with this pretty soon. And those 3 Reapers, the 2 Reapers with the third one coupling up with the Hellions, are very useful to buffer for the Hellions.
Look at how well Bunny timed the speed here. He pulled back just before speed finished. And yeah, he's going to make it away here with those Reapers. So nicely done. Oh my god.
Very, very nice. Of course, he's known everything that's going on because the Overlord was there. Having seen the Reapers at the front, he knows that there can't really be Marines to shoo away that Overlord. So he gets that information quite easily, does Hydra, but it's whether or not he can react to this kind of little push that's coming along that's going to make the difference.
Hydra having to go for speed like this and making quite a few links. Bunny has definitely already kind of achieved something here in this game. Look at this, the lair being teched at the natural here for Hydra in his third base. Well, it's going to be in quite a bit of trouble with 4 Hellions and 3 Marines and 2 more Hellions here on the way momentarily. The spine actually up the ramp. He's not that early, it's pretty late, and look at this. He's trying to go up the ramp.
Doesn't have that many links to really deal with this at all. Good focus fire so far on the Hellions. They can't regen the health at the moment. They don't have an SCV with them. The Reapers can. One of them goes very low, and it does buffer for some damage. He'll move it to the back, allow it to heal up.
Is it barbecue time, Kailaris?
Potentially. If
18 links on the way, though. I think right now Bunny fully realized that there is probably a lot of links on their way, getting ready to kill this. So he's going to need to be careful. Going up the ramp had actually been a mistake here if he had. Because then the spine was about to finish, and with this amount of links, I think sniping the third base here could be great. And look at this behind him, double factory and armory. He's going for mech.
Oh, yes, yeah. And this might be enough to push him off this third base. He really needs to be able to save that. Is Bunny going to go for it, though? It's very, very low. He's got to be careful about the ling wrap around to the left-hand side here, because they could quite easily pin that in. Bunny is not going to get greedy. Look at this, Todd. He just backs off. Even though it's so close to death, he does not want to lose this force at the front.
He's being super patient, and he's reading the game perfectly. He knows that in the main, there's not going to be a Queen transfusing injecting the main base, so...
Ling's going to try and go for the wraparound once again. Some of these units are very, very low. He gets onto one of the Hellions. Second Hellion ends up falling. Third one may go down at the very back of things. And the 2 more Hellions are going to come in. But the Lings have done quite a good job. Not only been able to set us up the third base, but killing so much of this army off. Hydra with the patience of brilliance. Really, really well done.
Yeah, he's going to kill quite a few of these Hellions, but he lost a lot of Lings himself. And behind this, I don't think he has any idea, really. He only saw the initial factory and barracks. He doesn't know that there's 2 more factories. He didn't even see the armory. Like, the armory could be a big tell here. I mean, you don't get an armory this early if you're going bio.
That's true.
And you don't get Hellbats.
But the thing is that Thors are going to come out pretty soon. He drops the scan on the natural, saw that the layer was done, well, for a little while, I suppose. And now the Spire is in the main base. I think he's probably reading into the fact that the Mutalisks are on the way soon.
Yeah. Do you think this is definitely, like, you know, mech for like the entire game, or is there any chance he's gonna go back into bio? We've seen that more and more, but I don't know. From Bunny, I'd expect more, you know, for him to just stay into mech.
Do you think it's a good map for mech? I mean, personally, I think it's one of the better maps here for Terrans to actually mech against Zerg.
Well, I think especially as a surprise.
Yes.
Because if Hydra goes into, you know, a lot of Zerglings, Banelings, and Mutas, it's really not the army that's ideal to face mech. You need roaches, and right now he still has no idea. Look what I was telling you, no Overseer sent into the main. He still doesn't know. He's gonna spot the Thors here soon, possibly, but
Yeah.
Actually, seeing 2 turrets, if he flies into natural, that's already like a little bit of a tell, because with bio, usually you just have 1, I think, more often than not.
Well, his Mutalisk going to go to harassment here. They have to be careful of the 2 Thors to the left-hand side
Thor
here.
is here.
They didn't really expect, I think, 2 Thors to be here at this moment in time. And that really now tips off Hydra.
Yeah, he's going to start a Roach Warren immediately.
Yeah.
Not going to cancel melee upgrade here. And he gets a Hydra then as well. So, okay, so he's going to be Roach Hydras. Maybe with Vipers, but I mean, well, you can't really start 3 tech buildings and like completely change your tech path just yet, I guess, as Hydra. He's going to have a lot of counter-attacking capability, you know, because even though he went for Lynx and Mulas, and he has his army is not that great to fight against mech head-on, he can still counter-attack very nicely. Cloaking, Field, and a Banshee he's starting here. Oh my god, Bunny.
Ah, I see.
You cheeky guy.
Yeah, this can be quite the annoyance here for Zergs to deal with. When they're trying to deal with the mech force alone, add in the Banshees with Cloak as well, and there's so many things to actually deal with. He dropped the scan, saw the fact that the Hydra stem was down, so he knows his opponent is reacting him. But can Hydra from here just take a lot of his side of the map? Because this style from Bunny is relatively slow.
Yeah, it depends what kind of mech he wants to play. If he wants to play super turtly mech, and I mean right now he's getting a 4th EC, 2 more factories, so there's a chance he might want to do that. Hydra has some pretty good map control. You know, right now he has a lot of vision everywhere, but I want to actually where will that... actually, he's keeping the Banshees at home. I thought he was going to send that across the map to try and do some harassment, fully thinking, you know, that there's not going to be any spores, and there aren't any spores, but it gets spotted. That's the thing. If he sends it across the map, Hydra is going to see it. Oh. And it's funny because Hydra usually on this map with the Mulas, he always does a very good job.
Yeah.
And like as you can see, Bunny will have none of it. Like in the natural, he made 4 turrets.
Oh, finds himself a small opening, gets a siege tank. Anything he can use to slow down Bunny here is good. Notice behind this, triple evolution chamber.
Yeah.
He is really committing to those upgrades, and he tries to drop the scan to see if the gold is there. And I think Bunny is pleasantly surprised that he doesn't, because again, as I said before, it's a slower style. You could potentially consume your side of the map here as Hydra, but he hasn't even gone over to the gold just yet.
Hive starts now here, and Bunny, I think if he knew what's happening, he'd just basically max out and attack before Hive finishes and Vipers can be added. Because right now, like his army is definitely going to be pretty strong against Hydras. He's got 84 army supply against 82. He's got even more army supply playing mech against somebody that's making roaches. And in terms of upgrades, he started the 2-1 upgrades. The +1 missile started very, very late here for Hydra.
Well, that Hive is now on the way. There's a small little task force of Hellions in the middle. They do see the roaches and Hydras, and they do have to be careful.
2 more command centers at the natural here for Bunny.
Whoa. All right.
Is it time to drop down the starports and go for the Ravens and battle cruisers?
Bring this one to a very, very late game, potentially. The thing is that Hydra, is he going to be looking for a kill? By the looks of things, maybe not. I mean, he's getting the flying locust upgrade.
Yeah. On this map, it's like one of the best maps for this. You know, you just get a few swarm hosts. You don't need to get that many. I think even as little as 4 is okay. And then you send the flying locust into the natural to try and, you know, get a snipe on it. I mean, Terrence, I guess they can leave their command center and like the nexus of Protoss, but still it's going to be really annoying. Like you're going to lose a lot of mining times. You can lose a lot of SCVs here as well. And I really like the way Hydra is doing it. We've seen actually Snoots in the past play some pretty epic game on this map with a lot of swarm hosts. And against mech, I think it was when he played Marine Lord this one time in a show match. And really, I think they kind of split the map, and like for the longest time, Snoot was just trading, you know, Locust and Infestor energy for units, and then eventually Marine Lord ran out of money and died.
And per your read, I mean, the starports being there, we're getting potentially for Bunny to the very, very late game. Hydra has even gone for the supply trick to boost his army even more, and he's adding on all the tech, extra hatcheries, to the point where he's able to try and defeat this army with lots of tech switches eventually, one would imagine.
It's interesting that he hasn't made any single swarm moves yet. I guess he's saving that for later. Like he has it as a possibility with the Flying Locust already being researched. And with the first few Vipers coming out here really soon, I really like the pre-setup concave here by Hydra, by the way. Like if Bunny was to attack into this, it gets surrounded pretty much instantly.
Now, just have to push him off there. Those Mutalisks don't really have much room to do anything at the moment. So for now, their job is kind of done, keeping his opponent back. It's going to be alternate routes of army that Hydra is going to be looking for. He's got the Roaches and Hydras.
Alternate routes. Intentional pun.
But as the game goes on, the Roaches and Hydras, they lack a little bit of punch against this, right?
Yeah, with the Vipers, coming into the field here, though, with some good blinding clouds on this set of tanks. Like, I think there's a good chance Hydra is going to be able to do really well. But with this amount of Vikings, surely those Vipers are going to die very quickly.
How many Vikings is he at actually now, as we look at things?
He's
okay,
up to
so
8.
it's 8. Yeah, they can do quite a bit. They are out of range, of course, of the Hydras, as long as they stay in the right locations. Bunny is setting himself up a barrier here, making sure he's going to deny some of this creep. Doesn't want to go too far forwards with these Banshees, but he will end up losing one to the impending army.
It's okay. That one was a test.
That was okay. That was just the test one, and he's actually going to drag some of these units to the left-hand side here with the abduct. Try and get on top of the rest of this army, but that's a lot of firepower coming out of the mech force. You don't want to encroach on the territory of Bunny just haphazardly. You have to orchestrate this engagement as Hydra meticulously to make sure you're negating some of that damage.
The moment you start losing patience against mech is the beginning of the end. And I don't know if Hydra maybe he wanted to free some supply, because look at this. He's adding on 6 swarm hosts here, and I guess he really wants to start doing the thing with the flying locusts and the natural, where you fly them in and you know, kill walkers, force the opponent to possibly lift, and just basically prevent him from mining there. And then whoa, Bunny just scanned the entire map.
Yeah, he wants to definitely know what's going on at every location. But you're right, that's what Flo illustrated, our observer down to the bottom right-hand corner. Those swarm hosts launching that attack across this chasm, as they're positioning now, is something that is very deadly. And Bunny knows that, so he's setting up a perimeter there as well for these missile turrets to thin out those locust numbers and make it a little bit easier, because his army, his main army, is very slow to react to those kinds of positions over on the right-hand side.
Yeah, look at his Storm and the natural. So funny. He's like the lone guardian there with the turrets.
Commander.
You want to get into the natural, you're going to have to go through me.
So the missile turrets didn't do a huge amount against those locusts, and actually now the locusts will chase down maybe a 4, maybe get some SCV kills. Anything you can get for these are very, very
a Hellions into the gold base here by Bunny were sent there. 2 Mutas are chasing them, and if he can kill a few drones, those Hellions are pretty useful. There is some Hellions too in the natural, in the third base right now.
Whoa, going everywhere here. He has Blue Flame as well. This will roast up those drones.
He just killed 20 drones.
Wow, 20 already go down. Brilliant move here by Bunny, with units that lose value as the game goes on against a more heightened, strong composition here from Hydra. The Mutalist is also cleaning these one up into main base, but 26 drone kills at this point does limit Hydra's economy somewhat.
And they are being replaced by more and more drones, actually. Instead of going for units to make a bigger and stronger army here by Hydra, replace those by more drones.
And he'll just keep looking for free damage here with the Locusts. They're very, very fast on the
Banshees on the ground, though.
They'll need to try and chase them down at some point. But as I said before, the Swarm hosts are very, very quick to be able to just maneuver around. They've got their little roller skates now. They're able to juke on around and make sure they're not going to be caught too easy.
That base getting sniped in the middle of the map.
Oh, nice by the Hydras. He was actually preoccupied with trying to get some of the Swarm hosts on the right-hand side with these Banshees. And now they're actually going to move into position to defend against those Swarm hosts. He gets himself one, but he has to back off.
And with Corvid Reactor on the way here for Bunny, we could be seeing a really, really long game here. But right now, I'm going to say only, but he's only on 4 bases. You need more gas than this if you want to go for Ravens. You know, you need to go up to 5, maybe even 6 bases.
You're 100% right with that. I mean, look at the banks that we have. Oh, nice abducts. We'll be able to get them in range so you can actually get them in vision. We'll kill those off. But look at the banks, Todd, because right now, 10K, dwarfing on 5K against what Bunny has. You need that gas, as you mentioned.
Hydra playing this beautifully here so far. Gonna add on Numerai's guard base.
Oh, another engagement going down. He grabs himself a command center and will actually back off from that point on. He can go for those little trades because he has that back. The Hellbat's gonna morph in the natural. Try and kill off some more of these drones once again. Force Hydra to replenish these as he's trying to get a few more units out with those Ultralisks coming along. They will clean this up eventually, and only losing 5 drones for that is not too bad for Hydra.
Yeah. Bunny's struggling taking a 5th base here. Look at this. Having to use auto turrets in the middle of the map to clean that creep. It's taking a really long time to finally get set up on a 5th base, whereas Hydra has been on a lot of bases, on 6 bases for a very long time, with that middle base and the gold base. So
Hydra starting to really contest Bunny's territory now. And for Bunny, is his fifth base, like the proper fifth base for him to try and go through the middle? Because the one to the right-hand side can sometimes be annoying to defend.
Yeah, like if he takes, I mean, he's going to take this one in the middle. The thing is, if he realizes too late that the goal was taken by Hydra, and Hydra mines a lot on it, especially gas-wise, he's going to have a huge advantage.
Oh, grabbing some more of those tanks in, just picking off these squishy units as they do get dragged into the firepower. But a lot of Seeker missiles have been dropped down. They have to walk out of range, and they will fizzle out as Hydra gets out of range of their tracking potential, so they can't do any damage.
Resources loss-wise, Hydra still lost a little bit more, but I think he sniped a lot of gas-heavy units. You can see right now in terms of economy, like Bunny's, he's not even maxed out and he's pretty broke. So Hydra right now, what he's doing is definitely working. His economy is going to be untouched every time aliens went across the map. Recently, they were defending by Ultralist and Hydralist quite easily.
14 infestors are about to pop.
Yeah.
So this is going to slow the game down a little bit more, but technically Hydra now, if Bunny ever oversteps the mark and gets some of his air fungled and locked down, and that chain fungal comes along with out of range of siege tanks, that could potentially be lights out for Bunny.
He scanned on the right-hand side. I don't think he saw the gold, though. He saw an overseer there and almost saw the creep. Actually, there is a small patch of creep from the gold that he might have been able to see.
Walking in again here with the Hydra. Some Seeker missiles actually will land two of those Hydras out the back, but once again they fizzle out. Just pulls them slightly out of range. That Ultra on the left-hand side survived for ages thanks to the Queens being able to heal it over and over with Transfuse, and it did tank a lot of damage to get a few kills here and there.
Second Spire being added on here for Hydra, who's got so much gas. It's like Zerg heaven he's in right now. 5k gas, 3 more Vipers, and he's getting all of these upgrades at the same time. And I mean, why not? Durable materials for Bunny here, who's finally is about to succeed in getting a fifth, but Hydra is trying to not let it happen.
And tries to drop the fungal and catches half of that. Could throw down some infested terrans as well. Hydra feels that this is his opening there with that one fungal getting into place. Gets himself a few Ravens, and that's a brilliant pickup there for Hydra, who has the bank where Bunny does not.
Yeah, the command center is taking a lot of damage. I think he's gonna go down in that fifth base. You can't take it, Bunny. Hydra knows the importance of preventing that, so he's gonna delay it a little bit more, and I guess an orbital is gonna have to fly there. It's not gonna be a planetary, man.
Brilliant play there by Hydra, really being able to find the weak spot in his opponent, and from that point on, he's replenishing with a few more Ultralisks. A few more Hydras are actually being added onto this composition as well, so he can just continue to poke forwards.
Hydra is he's taking his seventh base across the map. I mean, why not? He's taking the gases there. He's about to be on a lot of gases.
The Locusts just keep harassing as well. Getting small add-ons means that it denies extra production time from these facilities. He finally finds these swarm hosts and will do a bit of damage to them, but even one Seeker missile isn't enough to bring them down.
Hydra is he's managed this game really well so far, man, I have to say. It's very easy to crumble under the pressure when you're playing against mech. You know, one wrong move, you attack and lose too much one time, and then you're in a lot of trouble. But it's never really happened. He's always traded pretty well. And look, he's going for another one.
Going into this fifth base again. The Ultralisk is going to charge here as the Queens behind this will try and actually land some transfuses on them to keep them alive. These blinding clouds have actually done a good job of denying some of the damage coming from the Thors at the front. And there's not really that many siege tanks at the back. Some of them out to unsiege to try and get out of damage range here from these Ultralisks, still piling forwards. A lot of the infested turrets did some damage there as well, but Hydra is doubling his opponent's supply at the moment. This fifth base is once again under threat, and the Ravens, they have very little energy to deal with this.
Yeah. Resources lost is so even. Really, it's like 200 resources lost difference, but Hydra being on 7 bases against, well, I think we can call it 4 because that fifth base is not really mining right now for Bunny. He's just gonna have an insane economy. He doesn't even care at this point. Like, look at this.
I mean, does this all focus around Hydra constantly denying this fifth base? Because he's done a great job of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think if you try to fight for like the fourth on the left-hand side, you would have lost so much. It would have been like a bad position. But here, really having creep here the entire game, and, you know, at the same time harassing with the Locusts, he's just done good enough.
I didn't even see these Mutalisks in production, but the cloud flies in. Thors begin here, but Hydra is looking for the killing blow with these Mutalisks, making sure that he can cripple everything in the
He's
base.
attacking in the middle at the same time with a lot of infested Terrans and Queens.
Brilliant move, drawing him from one direction, taking him the other way, because right now those Ravens have no way to go. They're going to try and drop down some Hunter Seekers on these Mutalisks, but they can easily fly out of range. He separates a few up towards them, and this is a brilliant move by by him. Oh, even the extra separation at the very end. Great control there by Hydra. GG 2-0 to our second place finisher of Season 1 after a brilliant showing there. Game 1 was completely different to game number 2, but you could see how dominant he was there throughout that series, Todd. Brilliant stuff by Hydra. Brilliant, brilliant stuff to start off the day. Bunny not eliminated just yet, of course, in the format that we have here, as he will now fall down to the lower bracket game here in this group to play off against the loser from our next our match going on stage 2 as well. So Bunny still has a lifeline, but Hydra showed there that he has some class.
Yeah, definitely a cool attempt by Bunny in map number 2 to go for mech. I just wish he had been a little bit more aggressive with it, rather than just going, for a lot of command centers trying to turtle, which really isn't really him, Like, you have to be like one of those Terrans that does it a lot to really know how to do this, as good as a player he is. And in the end, it almost felt as if, Hydra didn't really seem to really mind about playing against mech at all.
Yeah. That was really well done there by Hydra. Very well done. I mean, the fact that he was able to amass such a bank like that, have complete control over the map, and really never allow Bunny to do anything against him. Of course, he did get a few kills with those Hellions, but Hydra looked fantastic there in our first series of the day here from WCS, live from Toronto. I hope you guys out there enjoyed that first series so far, and we've got plenty more StarCraft to come. Big thank you for joining us, and we shall now head over to the main stage as we hear from the winner advancing on to the winner's game. It is Hydra.
Thank you very much, Kalaris. We do have the first winner of match number 1 of Group A. It is Hydra from Root Gaming. Give him a big another round of applause. So, the first question. Everyone said coming into this tournament, Group A, the group of death, this is going to be the toughest group to get out of. If you go through the winner's match and you win, do you think this will have been the hardest matches this tournament?
People said my group is the hardest group in the WCS, but I didn't think this is hardest group for me. So yeah, it wasn't that hard to deal with Bunny's style. So yeah, next time also, yeah, it's gonna win.
All right, he doesn't think it started his group for him, and it was relatively easy to prepare against Bunny's style. Now, another thing you actually said in your interview, this is aside from the match, but you said you were excited to meet the fans here in Toronto. You guys have a great rep here in Toronto for being an amazing crowd. How are they? Do you like the fans here in Toronto?
Yeah, it's amazing because it's my first time in Toronto, and here there's so many fans. I didn't expect. It's so many fans than I expect, so yeah, it's really exciting.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, another big round of applause. Shout out to Toronto. Of course, we're here for the season finals. Now, we just started off. You only got this one win, and there's still a long way to go. But the story here for you is you're coming back for revenge. You want that trophy. How much does this weekend mean for you?
How much? I can't say how much it is because, yeah, I almost got the champion last season against Bolt because, yeah, I was ahead like 4-2. Even if I won more win, I almost got champion, but I couldn't do. Yeah, so this time I hope I will make the champion.
All right, well, another big round of applause for our first winner here on the main stage. It is Hydra from Root Gaming, and we'll get a little quick breakdown of our very first match in Group A.
Thank you very much, Choba. Congratulations once again to Hydra, who is our first player to move through to the winner's match. And of course, in Control and Pig, we have a second stream going on, so a lot of people here may not know the result of the second match from Group A. Do you know it?
I knew it before it was played, Apollo.
Did you?
I knew that Gung Fu Bandit was going to take it 2-1 over 4GG. A big result.
Big result.
A lot of people talking about him being the underdog in this group of death. 4GG, one of the favorites. And both 4GG and now Bunny have been backed into the corner. They're one best of 3 away from getting out of here.
Yeah, we can take a look at the bracket to update officially here as we move forward. But that's an interesting turn as 4GG, with the other 2 big titans in this group, was looking to move forward here. But it is the German player who is playing in the Premier League for the first time this season, advances to the winners match to play against the Season 1 finalists. That is going to be our next game on the main stage up here. 4GG and Bunny will compete against each other tomorrow on the main stage, as well as that deciders match. So we have one final game here from Group A. Group B is going to be starting on the secondary stream shortly. But for now, we're going to go to a quick break. When we return, the Season 1 finalist goes up against the newcomer, Kung Fu Panda.